During the year 2259, President Morgan Clark began making massive changes to Earth Force Command as well as political appointees to key positions. Many did not know that Clark was secretly in league with the ancient race known as the Shadows. Through their emissaries, such as the charming but cunning Mr. Morden, President Clark began to implement a xenophobic agenda to isolate Earth from the coming Shadow War. The Shadows wanted Earth to be on their side, much like the Centauri were meant to be when it was time. To help secure his position and eliminate any possible threats, Clark created several new organizations to keep people in line and in control. The first of these was Nightwatch. This program started as a type of side job for most Earth Force personnel, making couple of hundred extra credits a month just to keep an extra eye on things. Several thousand personnel signed up, many not knowing the true insidious path they were about to travel on. Over time, Nightwatch was given more and more authority to initiate investigations and report on all activities or any other perceived anti-Clark actions or negative rhetoric against the government. In time, Nightwatch would be turned into a secret police force loyal only to Clark. The second one was the Ministry of Peace. This organization was to maintain diplomatic control of all Earth politicians through blacklisting or political pressure to make sure they stayed in line with the president's agendas and followed orders. It was this organization that pushed through the Earth-Centauri peace treaty at the expense of the Narn, which is something the Shadows insisted on. Many Earth senators would find themselves as post non grata after voicing their concerns over President Clark's actions. The ministry worked closely with Nightwatch to remove personnel, both civilian and military, from their positions under the ruse of them being disloyal. In time, most people just stopped trying to stand up for what's right more out of fear of retaliation on themselves or their families for speaking up. The last one is the Ministry of Truth. This was Clark's propaganda machine. They made sure that the news was censored from telling or showing anything that might embarrass or hurt the administration, such as the Mars Rebellion or telepaths doing random and illegal scans of anyone they saw for any reason regardless of that person's right to privacy, as well as spread positive information supporting the government's actions. One of the biggest efforts was to slowly spread anti-alien rhetoric, mostly focusing on the still open scars from the Minbari War. By pushing this narrative, Clark was able to increase his approval ratings. The Ministry of Truth would then take these small events and exaggerate them to almost insane levels. Many people knew this but said nothing out of fear. The year of 2260 saw President Clark clamp down harder on the government. Also, events such as the Mars uprisings and attack by what appeared to be hostile aliens in the Sol system was in truth John Sheridan and the White Star destroying a shadow vessel that was out of control, gave Clark enough room to declare martial law. With this, he also gave Nightwatch the ability to take control of any military or civilian command or operation. But in the government and military, there were a few who were willing to risk all to expose the truth and stop Clark. One of these was General Haig, a high-ranking and respected officer. Haig knew he had to tread carefully as he began to build his cadre of supporters. Over the last year, he quietly began gathering information and evidence that Clark was involved in President Santiago's murder. Among these was Captain John Sheridan, who was now in command of Babylon 5. Thanks to him and Sheridan's team, Haig was able to gather enough evidence that would have proven Clark's guilt. But sadly, it was too little too late. By the time he was able to expose Clark, he had almost no supporters left in Earthdome to help him. With a failed coup and little support, General Haig and a few Earth Force ships made a fighting retreat from the Sol system and were now on the run. The Earth Alliance civil war had begun, and the cost in lives would be immense. General Haig had escaped Earth with 5 ships, but within a few days, 4 of them had been destroyed, and almost all of his supporters had either been killed or arrested shortly after the failed coup. President Clark's declaration of martial law had increased the already suffocating pressure. he had put on civilian organizations such as ISN News and the Belt Alliance. While ISN was forced to obey the new mandates and censorship, the Belt Alliance began to push back by no longer hauling cargo for Earth Force and helping rebels and refugees escape Earth. Such activities were quickly put to an end. The Belt Alliance moved their operations out of the Sol system and, in time, out of the Alliance itself. But the rebels would soon receive another blow. The EAS Alexander was in orbit around the world of Orion 7. General Haig came here to meet with military and planetary leaders, hoping to bring them in to support his rebellion against Clark. While returning to the Alexander, they are ambushed by the EAS Clarkstown. A lucky shot from the Clarkstown kills General Haig. The ship's new commander, Major Ryan, tries to outrun their enemy rather than kill another Earth ship and its crew. But as the damage to the Alexander increases and more crew members are killed and injured, Major Ryan is forced to destroy the Clarkstown. After the battle, with nowhere left to go, the Alexander heads to the only safe spot left, Babylon 5. Only a few days earlier, Captain John Sheridan had put down a takeover attempt by Nightwatch to seize control of the station. This action firmly put him on the side of the rebel forces led by General Haig. The arrival of the Alexander only complicated the issue, as he was now openly helping what many in Earth Gov considered an enemy combatant. This would lead to Clark sending his elite forces to attack and capture Babylon 5 and bring it under his heel. At the same time, President Clark, having had enough of the Mars pushback, ordered bombing attacks on civilian targets. These attacks killed hundreds of innocent people and escalated the crisis. In response, Proxima 3 and Orion 7 declared they were leaving the Alliance until Clark had been removed from power. These actions would have grave consequences later for the planet. As worlds began to succeed from Earth, the Omega destroyer Churchill arrived at Babylon 5 under the command of Captain Sandra Hiroshi. Her arrival brings the news of planets succeeding and of President Clark's forces on their way to take control of the station. All three commanders agree to make their stand at Babylon 5 and prepare for a fight. Just before Clark's forces arrive, Captain Sheridan openly declares Babylon 5's succession from Earth. Shortly afterwards, Earth Force arrives. Despite Sheridan's pleas, Earth Force attacks, and a savage battle ensues. The rebels were able to defeat the first task group when a second one jumped in. Thinking it was over, Captain Sheridan was about to order a stand down when Minbari Ambassador Delenn arrived in the White Star and 3 Charlan war cruisers in defense of Babylon 5. The Earth fleet quickly jumped out and the battle was over. The cost was horrific. All Loyalist ships were destroyed, as were several of their fighters. Babylon 5 lost the Churchill and several of their fighters. The loss of life was in the thousands. But now, Babylon 5 was free and able to focus on the coming Shadow War without EarthGov interference. But the war was far from over, and in time both factions would return in open combat.